I'm good. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the May 19th Public Facilities Committee meeting. We're going to call this meeting to order and look for the approval of minutes of last month's meeting, April 14th.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of the approval of the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Great. Is there anybody here to speak to the first portion of our privilege of the floor, to the addressing the Public Facilities Committee meeting? Hearing and seeing none. If there is, come on down. Was there?
He raised his hand, Joe.
Oh, okay, very good. So, hearing and seeing none, we will move on to our agenda. Speaking of the agenda, we are ending the meeting on a jail needs study. There's going to be one other short presentation before that that's not on the agenda for CHQ Transit. Item number 1 on our agenda, renew and amend Resolution 17924, authorize agreement with the New York State DOT for the performance of Project PIN 576499. It's my understanding on the committee level, this is a discussion only for us. We are not taking action on this whatsoever. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, sir.
Tim Carr, Director of Public Facilities.
Chad Mark, Deputy Director of Finance for the Department of Fiscal Management. The reason we're here with this one, we're doing a renew and amend on this because we initially, when the first resolution was passed, it was put into an incorrect revenue account. So this is to change that revenue account. And then it was also further amended, as you probably have a separate copy, because we inadvertently did not include the decrease of the original account.
Okay, very good. And this was, it looks to be, oh, right there, originally adopted June 26, 24. Okay, all right, very good. So this is just more of just a notification to us, an FYI.
Correct.
Is it not? Okay. All right, very good. Any questions, comments on the renew and amended resolution that we will be seeing? All right, very good. Thank you very much. Appreciate that explanation. We are jumping over to the local law, Intro 225, a local law regulating the use of public and private sewers and drains in sewer districts established by the County of Chautauqua.
Pierre Chagnon, Chairman of the Legislature.
Good afternoon.
So this short 64-page local law, the general purpose of this law is to provide for efficient, economic, environmentally safe, and legal operation of the publicly owned treatment works established, existing, and used by sewer districts of the County of Chautauqua. That's the short version. I won't read all 64 pages.
Thank you.
This local law was originally adopted in 1979. It was last updated in 1994. What brought this to our attention was the industrial sewer district sends its waste to the city of Dunkirk sewage treatment plant for treatment. And they were audited by EPA a few years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, and the EPA suggested, after looking at the county sewer use ordinance, that ours needed to be updated because many of our anyway, the things we were citing in our local law were outdated. And so that's when we commenced the effort to get this updated. So we've been working on this update for several years. All of the county sewer districts have participated in the update, as well as the city of Dunkirk, which I said treats the waste from the industrial sewer district, and the village of Fredonia, which treats the waste from the Portland-Pomfret-Dunkirk sewer district. So we wanted to make sure everyone was in agreement to the changes we were making, and we now have the finished document ready to be adopted.
Okay, very good. I appreciate that explanation. Questions, comments for the chairman? You said this was, so this isn't entirely new. This is just an update from the original 79 to the update to 94, so it's using the same bones that we've had previously.
Same bones.
Okay, okay.
A lot of changes.
Yes, okay, all right. Yeah, it's quite some time, certainly. Questions, comments?
I'm just glad I saw the number of pages before I hit print, so.
It is an interesting and enlightening
I
and
did
good
read it
education
every
to
word
read.
though. I was glued to it. It was amazing.
Amazing, isn't it?
All right, thank you for that presentation. It's my understanding that the committee does take a vote on that, so if, no, my understanding is wrong then, so that's just information only for the committee level. Very good, okay, all right. Thank you for that. All right, we are number 3, proposed resolution, confirm appointment for the Parks Commission.
Okay, Tim Carr, Director of Public Facilities. So I have a member, her name is Janice Bowman. She's a retired biology professor from Jamestown Community College, looking to join our committee. She's a member of the Chautauqua Watershed Conservancy Board, the chair, Chautauqua Lake and Watershed Management Alliance Board, and a member of the Chautauqua Conowango Consortium also. You know, she enjoys the nature, she enjoys fishing, hiking, boating, and I think she's gonna be a great asset to the commission.
All right, very good. Questions, comments? Mr. Scudder?
Yeah, Tom Erlinson he just retired from the parks. He was there quite a while. There was a big gap with him leaving, and she fills it perfectly. So she's familiar with the parks. So, yeah, it's exciting to get somebody this qualified to come in
Good.
and take over.
Great,
Yep.
great, all right. Any other questions, comments on the proposed resolution? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed and carried. Great, thank you for that. Next item, amend the 2025 budget for repairs to and replacement of fire damaged equipment, environmental landfill.
All right. This one is regarding two pieces of equipment that were damaged by fires at the landfill. One being one of the compactors that they use on top of the actual landfill to compact the trash as it comes in. And the other one is a slope mower that's a specialized piece of equipment to actually mow the sides, the angles of the slope of the landfill itself. Total, we have $244,634.17, which was paid to us as an insurance claim. And the landfill would like to utilize that money to purchase a new slope mower as well as do repairs to the compactor motor that was damaged in that fire. So we basically are increasing the contractuals for that to be able to pay for the repairs and increasing the revenue accounts to move that money from one to the other.
Okay, very good, thank you. Questions, comments regarding the proposed resolution? Anyone? Not seeing any or hearing any. All those in favor of the proposed resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed and carried.
Thanks, Jim.
Great, thanks, Chad. Number 5, a proposed resolution to authorize extension of lease agreement with the town of Chautauqua for office space for Chautauqua County Department of Mental Hygiene.
How we doing today?
Hey, Josh.
Josh Rothwell, Assistant Deputy Director, Public Facilities, Buildings and Grounds. This resolution is to just extend the lease agreement with the town of Chautauqua for the Department of Mental Health and Hygiene. They occupy the second floor up at the old Mayville School. And this extension is only for the old, let me back up. They got a hold of me last month, and the current agreement expired on 3/30/25. For whatever reason, back when they first did this up there, they had two separate leases for the same department. I think it was because of some grant money and stuff. So what we're doing is we're just extending this lease agreement to expire at the end of July. That ends with the other one, and then we're just gonna do one lease agreement. So this is just extending everything, the money's the same, everything stays the same, it's just an extension, so they both expire at the same time to create a new lease. That's all this is.
All right, very good, very good. Good explanation. Questions, comments? For Josh, you're seeing and hearing none. All those in favor of the proposed resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Great. Thank you for that. Number next, 6, authorize renewal of lease agreement with Jamestown's rental properties for office space at 333 East Fifth in Jamestown.
This resolution is also an extension of the lease agreement for mental health, at 333 East Fifth Street in Jamestown. We currently are in an agreement with, JRP Properties for that location, and, they're happy there. They're looking forward to staying there, for a few more years anyways. This is just a 2-year extension. We're up in the air still about how we're gonna, do everything here in the South County, so, given a 2-year extension here, satisfies the needs of not only the building owner, but also the county.
All right, very good.
And that, I'd like to also add that, lease is also, you indicated there, that 4% increase yearly, and that's what it currently is too, so.
Okay.
So it all stays in line with all the financials all stay in line,
Okay.
so.
All right, very good. Questions, comments to the gentleman regarding the proposed resolution? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of the resolution, proposed resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed and carried. Great. Next proposed resolution is to authorize lease agreement with the Jamestown's rental properties for office space for the Jamestown DMV.
So this resolution is, summed up basically the same as the one at 333, except it's for the DMV. Again, another 2-year extension to what we currently have, the same 4% increase. There's been in the past, some issues with, maintenance and stuff getting done there, so, that's another reason why we're going with a 2-year, to give the building owner, he's been doing a little bit better of a job, and things have gotten better, so, we didn't wanna get into another long-term agreement until we know we're gonna stay satisfied as tenants.
Now, when you say long-term agreement, how would you define that, or what has that been in the past for us?
Typically, as long as everything's good and the department's happy with the location that they're at, we usually don't do any less than a 5-year.
Okay.
And if it's, like the DMV, for example, it's not ideal to keep moving every 2 years
Sure.
or every 4 years or whatever. So, a lot of build-outs go into those leases for the tellers and the lines and making everything work for our residents. So, we're gonna stay there for a couple more years and, see how things continue to progress, so.
Do we typically see long-term, such as a 5-year, have a lower escalator as the 4%, or is that pretty much standard,
It's,
regardless of term?
yeah, 3 to 4% is pretty standard. We try to negotiate that down on the longer-term
Sure.
leases because
Good,
you
okay.
wind up 4%, over the
Yep.
course of 10 years is significant. This one here is not that highly priced of a lease. Right now, we're about where we would start with a normal lease, so that 4% is a $2,107 increase for this year. So it's, $2,000 is a lot of
Yeah.
money, sure, but
Yep.
it's not,
Understood.
$20-some a square foot, so.
All right, very good. Other questions, comments?
Is there,
Well, yeah, I think it was a few months ago, we had a presentation on moving some of the county offices to the old Chautauqua Mall or the Sharp Mall. And I just wondered if this would be one of those offices and how, as a department, you would feel about that, or?
And that's probably why we only went with a 2-year lease, is because we're still looking at that whole plan between the mall and some other options that we're still, you know, Josh and I are still working hard to try to find what's gonna be best for everybody in the county. So that's why we only did a 2-year lease.
And that also puts all those South County agreements, terminating within a 6-month period. So if it was beneficial for the county to make a change or make an adjustment, it lines all those leases up at the same time with expirations. And then if we just did decide that that's the route we would go, I mean, not saying the mall specifically, but anywhere, you know, within the South County, then we have that opportunity to do so. Or if we choose to stay, you know, things are working good and, we're getting presented with a good product and, you know, we can come up with maybe some better terms and when that 2 years is up, cheaper costs or whatever it may be, we have that opportunity too, so.
Sure. Great.
Okay.
Bob?
I was just not going anywhere with this, just asking, do we have an out? Is there like a 30-day, 60-day, or are we locked in?
Typically there is, and I don't have this actual
Just-
contract on hand. It's usually 180 days, I think, correct?
Yes, typically it is.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think-
especially with this landlord, we tend to lock it.
Yeah, usually we have a 180-day clause.
I'm not looking to get out.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if we had an out.
Yeah, our county law department does a good job of that stuff. They, you know, put that in there in case there's issues. There's also stuff, within those agreements that allow us to, say something's not getting done to what we think it needs to be, to provide the service. We can go in there in some of the agreements that we have, we can go in there, do the work at our cost and then short pay the rent and stuff like that. So there is stuff in the agreements.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Is there any specific reason that the DMV is lower than the mental health building?
As far as rent,
Yeah.
that's just what they negotiated it
I
10
didn't know
years
if there was
ago.
a reason in services we got less at DMV or?
No, it's the same. Basically, with any lease agreement that we get into, we try to have the facility owner cover, you know, utilities, everything from electric, sewer, water,
Yeah.
taxes. We both have insurance, you know, for loss and things like that. The only thing other than the space that we really say lease or rent is just the space. I mean, in the utilities typically, like all the furnishings are property of the county, all the phones and internet, we take care of that stuff too.
Very good. Thank you for that. Any other questions, comments? Not seeing any. All in favor of the proposed resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Josh. Number 8, authorized public hearing on the ground lease with the area at Chautauqua County Airport, Jamestown.
Hello. Brian Bates, Assistant Airport Manager.
Brian?
This is another interesting lease at the airport. It's just a ground lease. We do not own the hangar that we do not own the building that this ground is on, so we are authorizing a new lease for the ground because the building's getting sold, so,
Pretty straightforward.
yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Questions, comments? For Brian on the proposed resolution? I'm not seeing or hearing any. All those in favor of the proposed resolution, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. So that takes us to our couple of studies. We are going to start, as mentioned at the top of the meeting, not on the agenda, but CHQ Transit, giving us a bit of an update. So I believe we have somebody coming down to join Tim.
All right, we were asked just to provide a little information on the CHQ hub and ridership. I will let Michelle start off with the ridership portion as far as where we're at, as far as numbers go for cars. Go ahead. Just-
We just have a little handout, and I put some numbers together. It's self-explanatory. The second sheet, I have ridership from 2014 to current, or to 2024. It does show that ridership has gone down, due to COVID, and it has started to increase since COVID. From 2023 to 2024, it did increase, about 2,000 riders. It would have increased more than that had we not had some issues in 2024, and I have listed those on the front of the sheet. They had asked, because we had asked for extra money for the Spectrum to do the commercial advertising. We did lose some ridership because Jamestown Public Schools were purchasing tickets from us for their students to ride public transportation for children who were unable to get to school. But they either utilized all of the grant or lost the grant, I'm not sure which it was. But we lost approximately 1,700 trips because those children stopped riding the bus. And then we did have one of our city routes in Dunkirk. We had stopped running it every single day because we didn't have enough drivers. So basically, we had two buses doing the same thing, going in opposite directions. So passengers didn't have to wait so long for transfers, but because we were down drivers in Dunkirk, we did not run that every single day in 2024. So we did potentially lose about 1,900 rides. And then Medical Answering Services took over the non-emergency Medicaid transportation for all long-term Medicaid managed care. And from what I could figure from the numbers that we had, we did not get all of our rides back from them, and we lost approximately 1,100 trips. So had we had all of those trips, our ridership would have increased about 6,700 trips in 2024, opposed to just the 2,000 trips that it did. And then I just wanted to talk really quickly about the trolley rental. And last year, we had about $22,000 worth of revenue from renting out the trolley for weddings. And this year, we are well on our way to that. We're getting calls we need a full-time person there to just manage the trolley for the summers, because we're getting calls every single day. We had 2 more phone calls today for people who want to rent the trolley for their weddings. So,
That
Okay.
bullet point, thank you for that. Before we go into the hub, that bullet point there about what you didn't say verbally for everybody is you projected 10,000 and got 22.
Yes.
So that's a pleasant
Yes.
projection there. So you do projections. So on the second sheet of actual numbers, have you projected out 2025? Is that still on the bit of an upswing that we've seen since 2020, since COVID?
2025, we took a little bit of a hit because of the weather.
Okay.
But I'm hoping, I looked for the first quarter, we were down a little bit for the first quarter, but I think that's because of how bad winter was. But I'm gonna look again, now that the weather's getting nice, just to see what the ridership is. But I don't think it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be pretty close to 2025, if not a little bit better.
To 2024, you mean?
Or 2024, yes.
Okay. And in your, do you do projections out more than 1 year at a time with ridership levels, or is there just too many variables to even
There's
consider that?
just too many
Okay.
variables.
And I can understand that, giving the opening part of your, the variables you have there listed in those bullet points. So, okay, questions, comments on ridership levels? Just, it's a good information that we've been talking about the last couple of months, so, I guess my question would be, since you are closest to it, and it's hard and fast numbers are here, but anecdotally, you say in here, which you didn't mention, but your last paragraph here, you believe that the advertising that CHQ Transit is doing is reaping rewards.
Yes,
Could
it's
you speak to
reaching the
that?
people that we can't reach. Like, we go into the assisted, or the senior housing. We go to, you know, we'll send flyers with, Meals on Wheels or different things like that, but we can't get into people's homes. Like people who, you know, we'll go to the senior expo on Thursday, but people who we can't reach, now we can get into their houses. And, you know, we have had people say that they've seen our commercials, or people that I see out will be like, oh, I saw your commercial. So people are seeing us now.
Okay.
And we hear, oh, I didn't know you had public transportation. I'm like, yep, for the last 45 years, we've had public transportation.
Sure. Well, I mean, the numbers on the increase across the board there bear that out, but that's good information, so I appreciate you presenting that. Any other questions regarding ridership levels? All right, switching gears there then to the hub. I believe Tim gave us something else here.
Yeah, it's a handout today with all our expenses and situation with the Cards Hub building itself. I guess we can start out on the first page with the Accelerated Transit Capital Grant money, the funding that we've received to date. From all the way, this project starts back in 2018, okay? So the state money that we have is $765,612. And then there's $100,000 in ARPA funding, and then there was the sole county contribution of $155,258, brings us to a balance of $1,020,000, or $20,870 for funding that we have, okay? The next page breaks down all of our costs and what we have expended. All the way down, you know, from the purchase of $158,256.80 that they purchased it back in 2018. Or 20, I'm sorry. And then Labella for the construction that we wanted to get started to remodel the building that was there. And then all of these services that you see here, the first construction is when we went into demo, I don't wanna say demolition, but tearing that building apart and then finding what we found, okay? And maybe Ron's here from Labella, maybe he can give a little insight if you want on that too, if you have any questions. And then we made the decision to stop because it was not gonna be affordable to keep going. The shape that the building was in, we stopped and we ended up tearing the building down. And now we are where we're at today. So those total costs were $489,597.99, and that includes the purchase of the building. So really, the expense that we have is, what was that amount? 300 and something, I believe it was.
This, for construction.
331, 341.19, okay? That's our total that we've had expended. So right now, our balance is $533,000 that we have on balance. And the new bids are in, and we're at $813,000 for a new building. That's why we're in the situation we're in. We're looking at some other options possibly. I know the county executive had a couple ideas on some prefab type buildings, and we're still waiting on that, but that's where we're at with the hub right now.
All
So we
right.
haven't accepted a bid yet?
There's a bid out, it's due next week, Ron, May 26th, I think the bid is out, is in.
They're 45 days to hold their bid.
Yeah. This is Ron Kessler from Labella.
I'm good, how are you?
All right. Ron or Rob?
Right. Thank you.
Ron, okay, got it.
And the other, just to add on, okay, we do have available, 2024 ATC money, which is 127,067. And then we also have possibly for 2025, another $125,000 that could be available from the state.
Okay, very good. I appreciate that. Questions for any of the individuals regarding the hub, where we're at? That's a good summary. You have just, the remaining pages on that are just, more detailed of the process, looks like,
Right.
yes, okay. All right, the ARPA breakdown, okay, all right.
Yeah, that was the, those expenses there is what we spent the ARPA money with.
Okay, all right, very good. Questions, comments on where things are? Thank you for that snapshot. I wish some of those numbers were a little more in line with what we need to be, but, what were the two, funding sources you just mentioned? I was looking through my pages.
It's the state-
Potentially,
The state accelerated transition capital grant, which roughly is another $250,000.
that we're attempting to go after right now.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're pretty much guaranteed the 2024
24.
money. It's the 2025 money that's not a guarantee yet, but we're in contact with the state.
okay,
That's usually not awarded until probably June.
okay. Gotcha. All right. Anything? Anything? All right, I thank you very much for that information. That was good information. We appreciate it as a committee. And, yes, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and then as promised, I believe we'll probably get Olivia down here to get us hooked back up. There's going to be, I don't know if it's all video or not, but the jail needs study presentation. There's been, oh, well, I'm not even gonna get in the way of that. Good afternoon, Sheriff, and, we will give you the floor.
All righty. Good afternoon, Sheriff Jim Quattrone. So this presentation is from Labella and Justice Planners. They've been working with us for the last couple of years. It stalled out kind of post-COVID, and we finally got it going back under the way. But this is to look at what our needs are for the jail moving forward. As many of you know, we have a section of the jail that was built and opened in 1939 and being used 24/7, 365, and not always having the best occupants that maintain the premise. It's wearing. Quite frankly, I don't like putting anybody in that section of the jail, but it's needed. And it serves a purpose, but we're afraid that it's only gonna serve a purpose not for much longer. So this, jail needs, they're up over there, okay. Labella and Justice Planners will, be presenting this, so Mark, I think you're on?
Yes.
All right, we'll let him go and then.
Mark and Dave Weller, yep.
How are you?
All right, Mark, I'll let you go with it if you wanna.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah, so this is a summary. Dave, you can jump in.
Sure.
On this also, but, it's a short presentation that we had done, just to give people an overview of kind of the results, as the sheriff clearly said, is we've been working on this for a couple of years now. And, essentially, the goals of this is to remove, the jail operations from the 1939 portion of the building, is that they're not getting any newer and antiquated, and in some cases, the Commission of Corrections, doesn't want them to use that portion for incarcerated individuals. The building, a lot of the pieces of the building don't provide adequate program space for the incarcerated individuals, as we're trying to meet their needs and to help, crunch the recidivism cycle for, the people who are held at the county jail. Increase officer safety and effectiveness is a big goal of this. It's very difficult to do that in cramped spaces or in 1939 spaces in here, and then as we try to maintain the buildings from 1939, the maintenance costs continue to go up, and any risk to that maintenance on a given month or something else like that could force the sheriff to, deoccupy certain sectors of the jail, and so you're trying to come up with a solution that is for the next 25 years or longer for a sound operation, so.
So with some of the statistical findings, this is where Justice Planners really comes in, but they were unable to make it today. But they've looked at the data analysis for the projections on the jail, and they've looked at what's been extracted between 2016 through 2022 is the data that was really collected, along with data from the district attorney, the state court, and population assessment and demographics from Cornell University's program on applied demographics. And then that was used combined into a data set for a time series statistical forecast looking forward for the jail population. So really the males between the age of 20 to 49 constitute the vast majority of those in population. And so they looked at that as the trend, and they're actually expected to decrease 15.5% between 2022 and 2047. So we're already starting to see some of that. With it, they looked at the measure with the crime rates, and the combined FBI, UCR data, along with the reporting agency in the county. State police data wasn't available for 2021, so they kind of extrapolated some of the data using past data before that. And the reported violent crimes have decreased 2.2% since 2016, but there wasn't a 10% increase in 2021. And with the forecasting, it's always really an assumption. You can't guarantee the changes, but you kind of look at it programmatically and analytically. And, you know, there's unforeseen events that can change the accuracy of the forecast. But it looks at the time series trends in a forecast model.
Yeah, the big thing for the committee is that it's a snapshot in time, right? It's a dynamic process. We look at a lot of past years' data with the legislation that is currently applied, bail reform, raise the age, and so it's just the way data is, right? We take a snapshot in time and try to extend that into the future.
So with this, we looked at the forecast with the federal inmates. So it's your average length of stay, the past history of the average daily population, and the county's population as predictors. And you can see as it goes through to 2047, the population starts to decrease a little bit compared to what,
just
what
the
is
base,
there now.
just on a base forecast, the base forecast, right?
So on the alternate forecast, including federal inmates, you're looking at all of it with the average length of stay, the past history of the average daily population, and the county's population, and looking at booking variables and assume that bookings return to 2019 levels before all the changes with bail reform and like that was implemented. And it looks as though the forecast is increasing.
So the fear is it's in the newspapers that they went too far with bail reform, and everybody's populations just dropped. And there is this projection, this forecast one says, okay, what if bail reform is modified, or what if it is repealed and we returned to the pre-COVID, pre-bail reform population levels? What would that look like? So that's essentially what forecast one represents.
So forecast two, including federal inmates, that's looking at bookings returning to the 2019 levels and assuming that return to a 36-day average length of stay currently 32, when we were going through the report. So you can see the same trend, the population is increasing. So we looked at the base forecast, the alternate 1 and alternate 2. So the average daily population and the bed need or bed assessment for federal inmates, you were looking at 214 beds. Without federal, you were 152. Alternate 1, 285 beds, 202 without federal. And then alternate 2 was 317 beds, 225 without federal.
So after a lot of discussion and the sheriff sharing with us, you know, since this was completed over the last year or so, the trends that he is seeing real time at the facility, we kind of have said, let's look at a future model that we are not boarding in federal inmates and it's county population only. Let's take care of our own population, but let's look at a model where the total bed count is around 224. Is what the approach that we're presenting to the committees.
So going through that on the square foot program, really looking at the breakdown by department, the housing needs, things like that. The total building gross square footage is about 115,000 square feet.
So that would include anything that we're going to salvage. The program is an initial macro level program, and it's as part of a needs assessment, and says, okay, let's talk through all the parts and pieces that you have or don't have, and so it gives us a roadmap to say what do we need, and so some of this we already have, and so it'll get subtracted from there. So it's not like we're taking an addition and building 114 square feet on top of what you already have. We're trying to get rid of the 1939. We're probably going to salvage the 1970, facility, and of course salvage, the new 2000, I think it's 2003 facility. So don't let the square foot scare you in the fact that that's a total assessment. That if you were doing a new facility or an existing facility, these are the departments and needs, that we have.
So looking at the 224 bed concept design option, you can see part of the existing facility in orange will remain. There's a section that's taken out, that's the 1939 portion of the facility, that also houses part of the sheriff's administration. So just looking at overall, the yellow would be the areas that are going to be new build with new pods. So basement level floor plan, you can see the footprint of the existing building over here that's being removed.
And then we color coded the different areas. A lot of the gray areas are for sheriff administration, road patrol, criminal investigations, et cetera, that they have in there that in order to get rid of the 1939 portion of the project, you got to replace, sheriff's administration operations in addition to adding on to jail operations.
So this will have a lot of classroom functionality and like that, that's in the light blue, mental health, that's in green, and then some of the programs like that in the light purple. And then this is showing some of the new housing spaces, pods with sub-day rooms and like that can be utilized with the HALT requirements now throughout the state, and being able to provide classification for inmates or the incarcerated within the spaces. So this is also looking at taking off levels 5 and 6, which is in the 288 bed capacity, to get us down to the 224. But this will allow for future expansion if you needed to add on to that. And then
So-
looking, yep, go ahead, Mark.
I was just gonna say, so some committee members, if they recall, is that we did build for floors 5 and 6 onto the existing addition we did in early 2000s, but with crane operations and swing space, and to build on that, you probably have to temporarily put those inmates someplace else while you're building on top of that. And so with the 224 solution, at this concept, this is a concept, this is not really a design, but this concept is, we thought it was cleaner, simpler to build all new behind the 1939 building, keep things going as long as possible. Once everything is new behind it, then you would tear it down, turn it into a parking lot, and it could essentially become the new front door, for the facility. So that's again, this is a concept approach to how we would tackle a 224 bed facility.
So then looking at the concept budgets for it, we had based everything in 2023 dollars when we had gone through on the original concept. And then looking at what the cost increase is, and I actually checked this morning for where the rough number was, and 700 is right about where it is base square footage.
So, yeah, just run through where we were 2003 and.
Yep,
and-
so 2023 cost, we were at about 75,000, or 75 million for construction cost. And then total cost would have been about 104. So you're looking at between 103 to 108 million. And then looking at escalation for 2024 cost, and then up to 2025, the same building footprint and build is now between 115 and 120 million. So next steps is really to finalize and customize the square foot program. Really
'Cause it was a-
refining from
yeah, it
what
was-
was done in 2022, 2023.
Yeah, it was a macro level program, and so if this moves forward, you probably really want to get down and fine tune the program and what we can put into the existing building and what has to be built new. So that's one thing, yep.
And really get a consensus on the concept design approach, how we're gonna proceed, define the project budget, and really work to fit within that budget, and then agree on a schedule moving forward.
Escalation and inflation is such a big deal, is that it's becoming a major factor on, how the estimators look at this into the future, and so to better advise the committee and the county, if this is something that they're thinking, okay, we would go to bid in, just ideally, you'd go to bid in 2027, or this project would never happen till 2030, or something like that. That information helps a lot when trying to provide the legislature and the committee better information, costing information as they're considering a project.
Yeah, so, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna continue on. I think our ask is, we're looking at the legislature to see what kind of interest they would have in moving forward with this. I do think we're getting to a point where it's gonna be a critical, where there's that possibility we could have our hands forced to move forward. And if we have to close down the 1939 section, that's about 96 beds. and we would end up having to likely house inmates out, or incarcerated individuals out to other facilities, likely Cattaraugus County, Allegheny County, and possibly beyond, depending on their status, so.
So questions, comments?
When you say house, like, we would pay to have them housed in another facility in Cattaraugus County, what would we pay per inmate?
Roughly $110 a day, and that would likely change. It changes every couple of years, and that's the base cost. But then the transports, just to give you an idea, through the week we have between 10 and 20 transports of incarcerated individuals each day. So we're moving incarcerated individuals back and forth to court, to medical appointments, to various appointments. So if one of those individuals is at Cattaraugus County, we're gonna be sending our transport units to Cattaraugus County and bringing them back to the court here and then back to Cattaraugus County. So that's that additional cost.
Other items of note, questions, comments while they are here? Did you open up, Sheriff, with anything? You didn't talk about the existing committee that we have going on right now talking about this. Maybe just a word on that?
I did not yet. We do have a committee, the Jail Needs Committee, that includes, several legislatures, Mr. Rothwell, our maintenance and over at the county jail, as well as a past warden and current warden of the jail. Our past warden is very knowledgeable about that building, probably more so than anybody. It was nice that Mr. Pavlak's also on that committee because he has a building background and he's been through the jail several times. I know Mr. Rothwell's been through, as I invite people through all the time, but it is nice to see what's going on in the jail. One of the points of the goals is, improve officer safety as well as protecting the incarcerated individuals. There's parts of that 39 jail that are falling apart. Incarcerated individuals are making weapons out of some of the parts that are falling apart. So we're trying, our maintenance crew has done a wonderful job of piecing things together. I'm not sure how they do that. But I kudos to them for being able to continue to, sometimes they're taking parts and get them manufactured at local machine shops, so.
And so this was just a presentation of where we are to date. A question, comment from over here?
I just wanted to get that range again. It was 115 million.
115 to 120
And,
for $25.
yeah, so the, yeah, I can read that. Thank you. So if I amortize that cost over, say, 50 years, that's about $2.3 million cost per year. I'm not sure, I'm just thinking out loud that, obviously, we're not gonna pay cash for that sort of project, and then there would be borrowing costs, and I'm not sure what they would use as a useful life. That's why I'm just ballparking 50 years. That would be a rough, would anyone disagree with, would the engineers disagree with maybe a 50-year useful life, or, you wouldn't get a mortgage for 50 years.
Yeah, 50-year useful life is what we would typically look for.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Anything else for the experts at all? I was going to mention it is a fairly active committee as far as I am on it. Our chairman is on it as well. And so work continues there. I think this was just an update, no action for us to take here of where things are as of right now. Is there anything further that we missed or you wanted to mention, Sheriff?
We're hoping to present this at the full legislator meeting and then, we would be wanting to move forward, asking for some action to see if we can move forward with that. And, you know, I'm glad Mr. Crowe is here to, that's the part that just frightens me, to be perfectly honest with you. You know, not used to dealing with those kind of numbers. So it's something we would be working, obviously, with our finance department as well.
Sure, sure.
I had the privilege to walk through there with you a little bit ago, and as you look at the mechanicals in the backsides of some of those cells, they are very ancient, as we'll say. I appreciate the time to look at this before the place is falling apart, and not like some other organizations and whatnot. We're taking the proactive measures and looking at this early. I guess I don't necessarily have a strong preference on where we start, but I look forward to hearing what the committee has to say. I'm glad you're, like I said, taking the proactive measures to it, but $120 million is a lot of money.
That it is.
Agreed. Mark and Dave, thank you very much. Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
just want one last thing. They talked about, initially, they built it to go 2 stories high. If I recall, and Mark, you might remember, the estimate back then was 5 to 7 million to go 2 stories high. I think the numbers I saw were now between 63 and 65 million to do the same thing. So the 120 million is not going to go down. And so that's, you know, we're just going to continue to see costs going up if we don't move forward.
Yeah, yeah, good point.
Maybe I might have missed any of this, I apologize, but are there any early estimates on what, like, efficiencies there might be in terms of utilities in a new facility, in a new build like this?
At a concept, yeah, I think at a concept number, those are all opportunities to look at, right? And there would be efficiencies, of course, with, you know, water, sewer, power, you know, gas, things like that. You know, we're on the central system, when we, you know, did this project. But, this is at a macro level. You'd really have to, you know, dive into that as you move something like this forward.
With it being, I guess, somewhat forced upon us by the state and their regulations, are we looking at potential grants, I would assume, for something along these lines, or?
We have been looking for grants.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, Pierre, there's a law firm or organization that's helped us with grants. They helped us get our COSUP grant, and they've been searching for grants, and they have found zero right now.
I
So
mean, it's kind of an odd subject, I guess, if you will. It's not an everyday thing where somebody's seeking money for, I can't imagine, but.
there, you know, we'll continue to look for funding, and the firm is continuing to look for possibilities, but they are not finding them.
Okay.
So.
Thank you, good question. Anything else? Anything else? We are at our time. Sheriff, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gentlemen,
Okay.
thank you for
Thank you
joining
all.
us remotely. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I have nothing else. Does anybody else on the committee have anything for the good of the committee? If not, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that
Thank you
motion.
all.
Thank you. And the seconds?
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Did you have a question or something to say?
Nope, all set. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
I think he is. I think he was on, I was on public safety with him.
Because we can always meet in person.